Hey everybody, it is around 10 o'clock here up in snowy Hoth-looking Ontario, Canada for us. We got another big dump of snow today, which should just go away. Kyle had a nice drive back here today for us to quickly hop on, and we just wanted to come together, myself, Kyle, and Titus, to address the press release released from Asmodee yesterday on Tuesday, February 24th. A lot of things happening here, a lot of emotions surrounding this in terms of the future of Shatterpoint, what this press release means. And again, as individuals who love this game, we've played this game since the very start. We put a lot of time and effort into building our communities and everything that I think a lot of people out there are also feeling. We just wanted to come on real quick, just maybe 10-15 minutes before our next episode to give our thoughts and just kind of give some messages out to the community based on how we're feeling about things currently after this this press release came out.
Yeah, I think for me, it felt weird to put out our episode as is without.
Yeah.
We recorded on Monday. Obviously, all of this happened Tuesday, Wednesday. We would normally put out the episode on Thursday, and all this kind of happened in between. And it felt really weird to just kind of talk about things as normal without any addressing the elephant of the room. As you guys listen to the regular episode as recorded, we've got some announcements for the cast that come in there. I also thought it was important to clarify that those were conversations that happened before this announcement and are genuinely completely unrelated.
Yeah, this blindsided us completely. Like we there was always suspicion, same as anybody else, based on the release schedule and stuff, but we had no forewarning at all, and it sucks. It sucks to be blindsided like this.
Yeah, I don't have a better answer than it sucks. But I think there's a lot of questions out there. And to be super clear, we don't have any more answers than anyone else does. But there's a lot of things we don't know. And
so maybe we should go over what the press release actually said.
I assume anyone listening here absolutely read that thing.
Better be safe than sorry.
Yeah, I think the long and the short of it is that Asmodee is making some changes, right? And I think we also need to acknowledge in this little tidbit that we're doing here too, that there were also layoffs involved, right? So while we are upset about the game that we love, there are people who surround these games that we love that also lost their jobs.
Yep.
And as somebody who has been unemployed since the second week before Christmas and knows what the current job market is like, I think on behalf of myself, and I'm sure you guys can echo this as well too, we do feel bad for the individuals who lost their job and probably some people who actually make the games that we love.
Yeah, to be honest, quite frankly, and I know this is hard to process, but those people are going through a lot more than any of us are about a game that we like to play.
Yeah.
Yes.
And again, we are saying this from a group that this game has taken up a pretty good chunk of our lives for the last 3 years and will continue to take up a good chunk of those lives. We care about it a lot, and I understand every bit of sentiment out there. Your feelings are valid.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But there are people whose livelihood was affected by this, and I think it's important to be sensitive of that too. I promise you the people that actively develop this game are not the ones that made this choice.
No. Like this was their baby.
It feels very corporate. I think we can openly say that. This feels like a very corporate decision that came down from Asmodee. But again, getting back to the press release itself, it kind of in a nutshell, at least for me, it indicated that Legion and Marvel Crisis Protocol are going to be the two core games for Atomic Mass Games moving forward, and that Star Wars Shatterpoint was going to be put into a specialist game category. We still don't know what that particularly means, the details of that. And I think there's a little bit of frustration with that as well too, is that they put this term specialist game, and that has led to a lot of people speculating about what that actually means. Now, we have seen when games like this before get moved into these kind of categories, what that may mean, but I think for myself, I would really love for Tom Mass Games to give us clarity on what the specialist category means sooner than later. And I'm
Yeah.
talking like before Adepticon.
And it's also part of why we made the choice to wait to record this, because we knew there was an announcement coming up
Right.
from AMG. Obviously, that was quite literally nothing to do with this or any relevance. And I think leaving us in the dark here is part of the problem, right?
100%. I would rather them tell us, hey, this is what specialist game means to us, and this is what you can expect. And like I said, I want this sooner than later.
And I think as a community, I think we were already kind of feeling a little in the dark, right? Like that's not a new feeling compared to where we were. We got a little more information from this, but again, I'm sure everyone who has spent time on the internet in the communities over the last 2 days has seen everything between Shatterpoint's a dead game to is this any different than what we've been living for the past year?
Yes. Because
I
like
think
if it's just we're only going to get 3-4 boxes a year, well, that's been the past year anyway. So like it's
At the end of the day,
survivable,
honestly,
but it's that's the best case scenario.
when it comes to releases, actually, probably 6 would be my sweet spot, but there is a ton of product out there that's come out over the last 3 years, heavily in the first 2. I don't have a shortage of models to play with. That is not the issue, but we have been loud and vocal for a period of time already that this game is pretty desperately needing some TLC, and this just adds some more questions as to what that looks like. And frankly, we don't know.
Yeah, and I think just kind of going through some things that we had written down. First and foremost, however you interpret this announcement, a lot of you are going to be angry and maybe feel betrayed. And like we said, we feel that way, and that is valid. And I think a big part of it is processing. But what is important is that we as a community handle this with some grace. Again, we can't control what happens on the business end, but we can control our own reactions.
At the end of the day, I want to be clear, however you're feeling about this, to everyone out there, you're entitled to that, and that is valid. What that can't do or shouldn't do is inhibit anyone that chooses to continue to enjoy this game and what becomes of it.
Yes.
There's no help in being toxic within communities. Quite frankly, if you want to make the call that with the direction this is going, this isn't for you, you are entitled to do it. And I get it. That being said, you are not entitled to ruin other people's fun because you have decided that you don't enjoy a game anymore or don't want to participate in it.
And likewise, don't go into other AMG communities and harass them because, your game killed mine. That's not how any of this works. And it's not fair to those people who love their game the same way you love yours.
Yeah, I think
spreading the hurt around doesn't help anybody.
And also
100%.
harassing those who are still at Atomic Mass Games. There are still people who love this game, that want to make this game for us in whatever capacity that means now. And saying things, that are just not blatantly true, but the individuals who are still at Atomic Mass Games, I think is also not great either.
Yeah, again, totally valid to have your feelings, and I will continue to say that. But at the end of the day, be kind to people.
Yes.
Which is a short request, but a very valid one. And to be clear, and I will say this, I have had nothing but positive interactions with this community since the beginning. Genuinely, I look at our listeners, I look at the people in our Discords and in other Discords. I'm not expecting as much of this, to be honest, but obviously there's some noise and chatter already. And for me, I think back to when we started playing Shatterpoint, and you looked at every single announcement for Shatterpoint, and it was, why wasn't this game? Or why are you doing this when this game is not here? And it doesn't matter, but let people enjoy things.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I do believe we just lost Titus.
I think we did.
But we can carry on here. Yeah. To be clear and go back to your point here, Kyle, this changes nothing for us here in Ontario for 2026. The TableBound Open is green light go. Battle for Breath is green light. Force Convergence is green light. Our monthlies at Critical Hit will still happen. We are committed to continuing with this game for the entire year of 2026. And I know from the two people who are still here, myself and Kyle, I'm running to 2 big events in Ontario. We are going to give 150% to our events and make sure that they are the best they can be, no matter what has happened here today.
Yeah, at the end of the day, if the worst case scenario is that this ends up an incredible farewell tour for this game that we love, then that's what this is. To be clear, I don't believe that's where we're at. I genuinely don't, but we don't know. And again, to the point of the lack of transparency and information right now, there's a lot of feelings and again, very valid ones. But if the worst case scenario is that we're going to throw some great events and play and get one last hell of a year out of this game that we all love, then that's what this year is going to be. And then we'll see what 2027 holds. I'm hoping that by the time we get past Adepticon, that we have a much clearer picture of what the future of this game is. Like, AMG cannot possibly be blind to the noise that is currently out there.
Oh no, they see things, they hear things, they'll hear this. They have eyes and ears on a lot of things. I think a lot of things that a lot of people don't realize they have eyes and ears on, actually.
And as someone that wants to continue enjoying this game, I am certainly hoping for some more. But quite frankly, with this latest announcement and no further communication, not currently super optimistic for long term. And I think that's
valid.
Very real and valid.
And it's valid. Yep, it's valid, 100%. Yep. Looking back to Titus.
Yeah. Having bad weather here.
That's okay. Yeah, for me, and again, I think beyond that, the game is still being supported. If we can get that communication, and AMG seems to intend to continue supporting the game at a limited level, then that's
see where it goes.
Then that's where it is. We'll see where it goes. But at the end, as Kyle said, we got to be good to each other here, folks. We can't be fighting amongst each other in Discord.
Turns out the game that I liked playing 2 days ago is the same game it is right now.
As it is right now.
And
right.
if you like this game, you're probably
we're doing legendary encounters tomorrow.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, we're still rolling.
Yeah. So like if you like this game, you're probably going to be liking the same games as the same people that are currently here. So if you piss everyone off and then you move to another game and you end up in the same community, it's not going to go well for you.
But that being said, as Sean said, we've still got events to put on that we are expecting to, again, continue to support in our fullest. You're still going to be hearing us. You'll hear more about that in the actual episode, but we just wanted to get it out there and honestly, genuinely acknowledge your feelings are valid. We are as confused and frustrated as the community is right now as a whole, and I see and I hear that sentiment, but I think the best answer right now is let's reserve judgment until we actually see what reality from this looks like.
Very much agreed.
Okay. Yep.
And with that, enjoy the regular scheduled episode.
Looks like we got ourselves a batch of shinies, Commander.
Hello and welcome to Coordinated Fire episode 34, a Star Wars Shatterpoint podcast where we can have hot takes and hot drinks at the same time. How are you guys doing?
Doing fantastic, Titus. How you doing, buddy?
Good. Got a bit of a cough, but otherwise having a good time.
'Tis the season.
Yes, it's going through
here. Another
our community.
A foot of snow on the ground there this weekend. It was not what I was hoping for, but
snow and then immediately, I think it's supposed to get to minus 25 tonight.
25 or 30, something tonight. Yeah.
And then by Saturday, we're going to be hitting the positives during the day again.
To be clear, those numbers are in Celsius for anyone confused right now.
Yeah.
They'll figure it out.
Awesome. I think we got a lot going on.
We do. We have a lot going on. Yeah, because we missed last week for a particular reason that I guess we just are going to have to come out and talk about.
Yeah. So a couple announcements, kicking off with the less exciting one, but exciting for different reasons. We are going to be moving to likely a bi-weekly schedule for a bit. Not sure what that's going to look like for length of time and what that looks like. And I certainly would expect the bonus episode here and there. Full transparency, this is life gets busy is the short answer. And I think this was joint decision across the three of us. Sean, I know you are starting a new job soon, which is very exciting.
Yeah. The one thing I haven't really talked about it on the cast at all, but I was abruptly let go from the role that I was in previously with my last company 2 weeks before Christmas, and I'm just getting reemployed now. Weekly podcasts were good because I've been kind of a bum for a little bit, jokingly, but with the work schedule coming back up, yeah, it's going to be tough.
But you have a very exciting new opportunity here. That
I
you're
do,
walking
yes,
into.
yeah, and I need to go full speed ahead with it here because it's got a lot of great, career and life implications. So again, not that we don't love the cast, not that our interest in the game is waning. Yes, things are slow right now, but I think all three of us still very, very much love this game. We want to see this game do well. We love the community. We love the people. I think that's something we also need to also get out there as well.
100%.
Yeah, and again, life just gets busy. Kyle does a great job editing our episodes, right? But it takes time, and we're not necessarily making dollars off of our podcasting endeavors here, so that can feel tough as well too. TableBound is also doing fantastic for Kyle too. So there's a lot of things going behind the scenes that is stretching our time thin. But again, I just want to reiterate, love for the game is there. We want to play. We wanted to see it do well. So do not think that has anything to do with it.
Yeah. And I think part of it was going over the holidays too. We kind of had a moment to take a break and realized I think all three of us, our personal lives were taking a bit of a hit because doing this weekly is a lot of work. So
it is, yeah. And things within the game are admittedly, again, very slow. We can openly talk about this, right, and say that, right? Things are very slow, and it just felt like we were grabbing for straws in terms of what to talk about each week. And that was even with us, again, going into key operations and legendary encounters and trying to find alternate things within the game for us to play and talk about. It just felt we were very, very thin. Like today's episode, we've got a full docket of tons of things to talk about because we've had that 2-week time period to collect a great schedule of things to talk about today. So I think that is going to help the episodes a lot as well.
100%. I think you guys hit the points that I wanted to make, and thank you, Sean, for understanding. Because to your point, and we discussed this when we kind of just started having this conversation of like, one, we all love this podcast, and it is not going anywhere. As the first and foremost, we love this game. We love doing the cast. That's not changing, but life changes, and thank you for the recognition, but TableBound is doing really well, and just at the end of the day is a side hustle for me. It is not the main gig. So it's balancing. And when you look at, we have recording night, we have editing, we have our weekly game nights that we talk about between the episodes. And that's 3 significant chunks out of evenings of the week. And that's on top of monthly events and all that kind of stuff. So this game and this cast is still a priority for all of us. And I'll echo that. Also expect some bonus episodes coming out of this. We've had some plans we wanted to do for a while. And I think this should open up some of that time to get to maybe those alternate topics that we want to cover for bonus episodes too. So I'm excited for what this looks like in the future, but that's it for now. And obviously, we'll still be there in the Discord, hanging out, ready to chat. You don't have to wait for an episode to hear from us. We're always happy to jump in there as well. I'll shove it in now before the end of the episode. The Discord link is always in the show notes. Jump in. If you miss us, jump in and chat.
Yeah, I mean, we are slowly kind of leading into GT season. That's crazy to think. I mean, because like the first big events of the season, so to speak, for us is coming up soon. In the TableBound Open, I think Titus, myself, we've already talked about lists already with a number of people that we know mutually within the community. So we are starting to get the gears grinding for some of these bigger events and what we're going to solidify to play.
Yeah, so on that note, some exciting news. TableBound Open tickets are now available by the time you are listening to this.
Woot woot!
Technically, that's live as of recording tonight, but there'll be socials and posts and all that out there by the time anyone is listening to this. So grab the tickets if you're planning on come. Let's chat about it. Honestly, I love doing this event. This is an exciting time for me, for TableBound, and for the local community. Tickets are up; they're $40. We'll get into some more details later in the episode, but I'm super excited. 3rd annual TableBound Open. We've continue to increase the showing each and every year. We've got 36 tickets open for this one. So jump in. Again, if that needs to be expanded, that's something we'll definitely look at based on the demand. But I'm excited.
Me too.
It's not
that
much.
I'm ready to go, man. I mean, I think
I'm pumped.
This event has evolved along with our community here in Ontario. It is one of the, we always talk about the 3 big marquee events. This one, Battle for Breath and Forced Convergence. are going to be the three big ones on the docket this year for Eastern Ontario. And again, I say this all the time and I harp on it. We are worth the travel. We are worth the drive. We put on great events. And again, for those that are not aware, I don't think Kyle mentioned it, up close to $1,000 worth of prizing at the TableBound Open.
It is going to be well over.
Yeah,
based
one of the
on what
best
I'm looking at
prized
right now.
events I think you can find. I'm going to boldly say in North America. I'm going to boldly say it. I don't think you're going to go to an event that has this much prizing anywhere else. And again, hotels, Airbnbs, Oshawa is a great little city that we can help you out and find somewhere to stay for the weekend.
Yeah, and people here are pretty friendly. Usually everyone's pretty willing to help out if you need to figure out transport from your Airbnb or something, or from the airport.
Definitely happy to help out.
Carpooling's a thing that we've done pretty regularly.
Yeah, I know.
Already hearing that some of our friends from BC are going to come out.
And also Ottawa as well too. Shane and I think some of the Ottawa crew are ready to make their way across Ontario as well too. So again, this one attracts people from all over Ontario, and we are expanding outside of that to have probably, without a doubt, the best one yet.
We welcome some of our American friends too. If anyone wants to make a trip. All right. So we said we had a pretty packed episode tonight. So we're going to chat about our recent event at Critical Hit. That was yesterday as of time of recording. So excited to talk about it. I think we all took some new stuff when it comes to our lists. Tested some stuff out. So excited to chat through that. And we've also continued through our Key Operations Narrative League on our weekly events, and we have some thoughts and feelings to share there. And yeah, we're just finishing off with chatting about some of those upcoming events, because it is time to start prepping. And I know a lot of you out there are already getting the practice, the reps in for Adepticon. So
yeah, it's gonna be the next big one.
Yep,
'tis the season.
Wanted to start out though with a listener hot take. We have one by Josh, one of our local guys. He said that he thought First Contact would be drastically better if you discarded the struggle card rather than shuffling it back into your little pile once you changed the layout in the second and third struggles. So basically you would be able to change the layout twice.
Yes.
And then you're out of cards, you can't change it anymore. I personally loved this idea. It's why I wanted to bring it up on the cast. And to me, it's a great compromise. You still get that aspect of it, but you don't have the games just dragging out because you fall into a spiral of it's always the right choice to change the layout. And then you're also not afraid of scoring 3 or 4. You might fall into that spiral.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty eloquent fix that does honestly fixes all my problems with the mission. One, your point, this limits the amount of times this can happen. 2, for the second time you flip, you also know what that's flipping into. So there's a predictability to it that isn't just random between these two things, which I also really like. It's something you can plan for. It's something you can adjust for. Again, the idea of moving objectives through a mission is not the issue I have with First Contact. It is the fact that this can happen basically infinitely, and there's certainly ways to mitigate it through force or through momentum that you can basically always do this. And there's not enough negative incentive for doing it currently. Yeah, and what I like about this most is you can fix this without a single change to the cards. This could easily be an FAQ for how the mission works, and problem solved.
Yeah. Now, whether or not that ever actually happens, whatever. Might try out a game or two like that, just to see how it feels. But
maybe somebody at AMG will listen to this episode and say, "Hey, that's a great idea."
Ended up having
because I like it. I like it. Yeah, I say it eliminates the kind of walking on eggshells feeling that you have of scoring 3 or 4 on that mission, and then like you said that loop happens. So I am very on board for this. Good change there, Josh. I like it.
All right. So getting to that recent event, I figured we start out with what we brought.
Yeah.
Would either of you guys want to start?
I can start. Sure. I continued to want to see where we are at with Empire. Specifically, I had heard some rumblings on some people pairing Thrawn with Cassian, so I wanted to give this a little bit of shot. So my list was Grand Admiral Thrawn, Stormtrooper Sergeant, Dark Troopers, Moff Gideon, Darth Vader, Fallen Master, or V3 as he goes by, ISB agents, Cassian Andor, Death Trooper Escort, Base and Chirrut with Grand Inquisitor, Obi-Wan Kenobi out of hiding, or Obi-2, Fifth Brother, and I took Never Tell Me the Odds as my missions. So a couple of known quantity squads here for me. I've played the Grand Inquisitor, Obi-2, Fifth Brother squad quite a bit. Moff Gideon, V3, and ISB agents. I played once or twice. Wanted to get some more reps in with that, particularly just to see how that squad felt, and I want to try and explore more with the ISB agents, because a lot of people that have been playing Empire have had very good things to say about the ISB agents, which they were pretty good this tournament. Actually, I will give them credit where credit is due. They played very, very well. And then Thrawn, this is the usual setup I have from him with Sergeant and Dark Troopers. So just very, very quickly here, and I don't think we want to spend too much time. On my first round, I played Cassian and Thrawn. Second round, I played Moff Cassian Thrawn, Moff, and Grand Inquisitor. So overall, my lists felt good. I don't know about the Cassian and Bayesian turret inclusion with just slapping kind of DTE in the middle. It just feels like you're just trying to juice up Empire a little bit just by adding the 1 and 2 thing, best thing in the game right now. That's what it felt like a little bit to me. Every game that I played with Moff or Grand Inquisitor felt great. Every game that I played with Thrawn felt lackluster. And again, I just don't think Thrawn is there right now. I think he needs maybe a little bit of help from the Morgan box. But Never Tell Me the Odds for mission was really great. I like that. The only game I think I got spanked was against Trevor playing Han and Luke, to which we got the X pattern, and he absolutely just came right at me on my back too, which I couldn't really deal with Cassian and Thrawn, just trying to protect my back. Objectives a little bit was very, very difficult. But I think moving forward from my list, at least, I'm going to try the one that you played, Kyle, that Dylan's also been running with GI and Moff, because I think those are probably, as we discussed afterwards, probably the best 2 things going on in Empire right now, I think. I'd also like to maybe get Krennic in the mix as well, too, and see what he can do with strategic positions coming out specifically next month.
Yeah, I definitely... Again, I'm still new to my foray into playing Empire, but I've been super impressed with Moff. I definitely think where we currently sit, Moff sits as the best primary within Empire. I'm also really happy with GI. I know you guys have had some different feelings here and there, but overall, I think he's a great support piece. He's
I
tanky.
think when you bring him in that package that you're playing with Third Sister and Fifth Brother specifically, I think he gets a lot better. And then on the wounds there, you have multiple options. Then you have 3 different options of an Inquisitor to heal. So you're really keeping conditions off. You can potentially keep Fifth Brother alive longer. I think there's a lot of pluses there when he has both of those other pieces with him.
Yeah, one thing I've definitely noticed is when you don't have the Stormtrooper packages outside of that heal, there's not much access to healing, and conditions can hurt.
Yes.
And I think that makes a huge difference, having that easy access to it. It made a huge difference for clearing conditions a few times in my games. So we'll go with my list. So my list was Moff, Death Trooper Escort, and Fifth Brother, with Grand Inquisitor, Third Sister, and Dark Troopers. I took Shifting Priorities as my mission. I had another list here that I was planning on taking, but didn't quite have the time to build our hobby. But I am definitely enjoying playing around with some Stormtroopers and going to continue to do that. And I expect we'll see that here in a bit. But I brought an old comfort list as the other side of Vader, Jedi Hunter, Barriss with Padawans, Ki-Adi-Mundi, Shaak Ti, and the First. There's a lot I love about this list. It has a ton of displacement. We'll get to talking about the game I had with Titus, though. That is definitely a reinforcement that I am back to putting this down. I said I was putting this list down after the BC GT, and I was reminded as to why. And it doesn't help that every time Titus and I face off with Republic versus Republic, it is one slog of a game every single time.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a bit.
Yeah.
All right,
Titus, your list.
Yeah, so I had a very similar list to Kyle.
Yeah.
So starting off, I also had the Ki-Adi-Mundi box. It was split up between 2 squads. So I had Ki-Adi-Mundi with Obi-Wan Kenobi out of hiding and the 212th Clone Troopers. And then Ahsoka Tano Jedi No More with Shaak Ti and the Padawan Learners. Definitely missed Nadar a little bit, but Shaak Ti, for once, really showed up for me, and I did not regret bringing her at all. I was actually very happy with this list. It did very well. I've always liked Ahsoka and Ki-Adi-Mundi together, despite her not having the Jedi tag. She
Oh, man, if
sets
she
up a
did,
lot of
though?
the other stuff. If she did, this would be amazing. But she definitely helps set up those the other Jedi to do their thing, which was very nice. The other strike team I had was Grand Inquisitor, Third Sister, Fifth Brother, Moff Gideon, and then, unlike Kyle, I took Darth Vader, Fallen Master, and ISB with Moff Gideon. My experience with this, I put a little bit of work into this ahead of time, trying to figure out, okay, how do I play the Grand Inquisitor with Fifth Brother? Because my previous experience with the Inquisitors was in a very different meta, and I always kind of went with I want to have them moving around in my opponent's backline, stealing points and whatnot. And over the last year, that has felt much less viable because everything is way more lethal now. But what I was hearing is people were focusing a lot more on moving Fifth Brother around to get the Enfeeble. And I think that part of the list really clicked for me. That part did feel very strong. Grand Inquisitor suddenly felt like he had very good attacks. A Third Sister had good attacks when she got to it. Darth Vader hits like a truck when he has that expose on his whatever he's attacking, but it felt like it was very much lacking mobility. I liked Vader in that he went to a point. He was really hard to take off the point, but he didn't feel worth 5 points to me. He felt like a 4 point, something like Savage or whatnot, where they can kill something, they can maybe disrupt some plans, but really it's just about having that big tough body. And then the ISB agents, I wasn't a big fan of. Their dice are great. There's a lot to like about them. For a 3 point, I think they're really good. Their tree is so awkward.
Yeah, it is.
That
Yeah,
was
I noticed that
It's
too
not
as
a
well
good
with
tree.
them.
No,
Yeah,
like,
it's
and
not
if you run
great.
into something with Steadfast,
You're-
it's a freaking nightmare.
You're really, I think the thing with them is you're really just fishing for the two shoves, right? You're trying to juice up their dice. You're trying to fish for the two shoves, and that's kind of the realm that they live in.
Yeah, and the
That's
problem
what
I
found
had
too.
with that was if you only get to 3, you're doing 3 damage in a shove or 3 damage in a pin, both of which are pretty below the curve.
Right, and against something against Steadfast, it's
Yep.
it's
The other thing that
nothing
threw me
burger.
off, and I kind of came to play accordingly, was that they read as if they want to be a melee piece, but their ranged expertise is actually a lot better than their melee expertise.
Yes, that
And
too.
that really kind of like there was a couple times I ran them into melee going, okay, I want to use this in melee, and realized their expertise is real bad. Having the shove on 3 is nice, but you don't often get to 3 on your expertise tree. That said, they roll a ton of dice. Their defense is good. Like they have 8 hit points. Everything else about them seems great. It's that the attack tree feels rough.
Yeah, which is the penalty of the 3 cost, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, add in defensively, like that's Dark Trooper expertise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Defensively, they're good. Like you put them both
defensively, I
on
had no
a
complaints.
point, and you're feeling fairly good about it. I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like 8 health, excellent conversion on the expertise on a 3 cost is solid. I also think if you remember to use it, that Imperial Detention is a good ability.
Is a sneaky.
That part was cool. I definitely was moving them around with Moff Gideon while they were wounded quite a bit, just to annoy my opponents. Like, just like, oh, you have Mando over here. Well, he's going to come stand next to Mando, and suddenly you're not getting that healing you thought you were getting when you advance away, and stuff like that. They have some utility. I think they're a good unit. It's just this particular list, I felt like I was really lacking in mobility. I felt like there was almost no deterrent from my opponent wounding my stuff, and those two things put together, it was rough. I think I would rather go 4 and 4 than go Vader 3 with the ISB, with the Inquisitors specifically.
Which is interesting, because Vader 3 for me, and I talked to you about this after the event. Vader 3 for me was an all-star. He was really, really great. I had him bully Mace in my last match against Brandon. I had him stand in the middle of Sabotage Showdown against Ryan with Mandos, pulling stuff off, getting good attacks in.
Yeah.
That's
So I will say, I made a comment about this at the event, but
Yeah.
Darth Vader's card was very heavy. It always sank to the bottom of the deck. So
so that hurts too. Yes.
he went last on the first time through the deck, both games, and then never activated again both games.
Gotcha. Okay.
So he was very much go stand on a point and hold said point. Maybe you pull someone. Like he pulled Mando and that was cool and all. But like he didn't do a whole lot. And I, especially on the maps we were playing on, like how the terrain was laid out, I would have rathered even like I really like Death Trooper Specialist because he can move someone else. And being able to move someone else would have been a huge benefit where we were playing. Darth Vader doesn't do that. He has a very hard time affecting more than one point if you don't have a pull set up to really pull someone off.
Yeah, I think my order deck it was Moff and Vader at the bottom when I was playing Brandon on Never Tell Me the Odds, and I very luckily got Moff before Vader, so I tossed the dash on Vader when Moff went, and then he was able to full advance and then do his dash as well too to get back, pull mace, take a point.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
He requires a little bit of setup for sure, I think.
Yeah, and I had no problems getting him into a position where his activation was impactful. It was just kind of like,
it's too late.
I would rather be able to move another unit because everything keeps getting pushed off points, and Vader by himself doesn't really.
You can pull Death Trooper Escort out of my cold dead hands.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. Like I looked at your list and I went, I would rather this.
You would have to present one hell of a unit to sell me on removing DT. And I think just looking at what Fifth Brother wants to do, looking at Inquisitors, looking at even the Dark Troopers in the list, like all of this just wants more mobility. I don't know. Saying I'm going to take an Empire list without DT is like saying I'm taking Republic without Rex. And while there are reasons for that, you'd have to have a damn.
Yeah. I will say I really missed having Fourth Sister in the list. I think I would have rather gone DTE and Fourth Sister or the Dark Troopers like you did, because Third Sister, her Call the Hunt is infinitely more useful if you have a ranged attack Inquisitor. It was rough because very frequently Fifth Brother was on the wrong elevation, and all I was doing with Call the Hunt is moving that Enfeeble Expose, and often he was already in position to give that. So it felt like a wasted ability a lot of times, whereas if I had Fourth Sister, I'd always at least be able to attack something.
I will say I've been impressed with Third Sister.
Yeah, she was good. It was just kind of like that ability often wasn't doing a whole lot. Whereas if I had Fourth Sister out there, I could still be doing what she was doing with even more. But no, I like the list. It just felt like it had problems for me. And I want to mess around with it a bit.
Awesome. We don't have to go game by game through the event.
No.
But do we want to share some highlights? Sean, I'll throw it over to you first.
Yeah, I think I shared some initial stuff there in my description. Got absolutely spanked by Trevor. Round 3 on Never Tell Me the Odds. I mean, that dude is just playing Rebels like a wizard. Shout out to Trevor. He's been playing really well lately. Great game with Brad Blakey, newer player who has really picked up the game. I mean, that was a highlight for me too, is we've had a couple of new people come out who seem to be picking up the game very, very quickly. But that's very, very nice. And I think my last game against Brandon, it was a 2-0, but I think it was a great game. He had me on the ropes, struggle 1. I was able to pull it back again by getting Vader 3 to his back objective. I eventually got Fifth Brother back there, causing a lot of problems on Never Tell Me the Odds. Moff was able to control a side there that Padme and the Handmaidens were kind of bullying Obi-2 a little bit. Was able to pull that one out 2-0, but again, Brandon had me on the ropes. I think the list overall, I'd like to explore an Empire Premier. I think I'm going to try and get Inferno Squad back in the mix. I think they still have a place like we discussed on Sunday.
I think it still struggles with that fourth list, and I think it just has to be Inferno, and they can pair so well with so many things.
Yeah, so I think my initial testing here is going to be the Moff GI squads that you played, Krennic, V3, Death Troopers, and Inferno Squad, and see how that feels against certain matchups. And then if that's not feeling great, I might just go 2-2 for the TableBound Open, Moff GI, and then play Cassian and Han, which again, that's another list that I've really, really loved, and I just enjoy playing Han in general. A couple different things here after trying some different variations and setups at this event just for some preliminary testing, finding out what works and what doesn't, but some great games overall for me.
Yeah, I think I agree with your assessment on Empire though. Like you need Inferno. Because like you have the Inquisitor package, and unless you really want to double down on going with the Stormtrooper package, and that requires a lot of dedicated practice and play to do well with, Inferno's really the way to go. And I think Inferno's the better squad anyway.
Yeah, and initial reports from those who've been playing on TTS2 is that strategic positions is nice with an infiltrate squad, as much as ISF are not seen as so hot right now. I still think that they could be an advantage, and I think they're still okay for what they are as a support. I don't know if they're as terrible as people are making them out to be.
They're great. Like everything that makes the ISB good, they're good, but at a 4-point cost. Like they're really tanky. They have a lot of durability. They hold points well. Their tree's a little bit awkward because they don't have shoves, but like they can still put in a lot of work. It's the same problems the ISB do, same strengths, but they're at a 4-point level. So
yeah, they may not be the powerhouse they once were, and they may not quite hold a candle to the best supports in the game right now. I'd still say they're better than the average support.
I think so.
And again, Infiltrate just has value.
Yeah, because what are we comparing to? We're comparing to a shatter-pointed Bazin Turret and Rebel Commandos with Cassian, right? Like you can't really.
Yeah,
or Seven Scorch.
That's not in the same bucket.
Yeah, they're not in the same realm.
And most of what we're comparing them to are 5-pointers though, because like you get Bazin Trude, Seven Scorch, another big one that comes up a lot is Han and Chewie. They're all 5-pointers. Like we can't compare to that.
Yeah, we can't. No, absolutely not. And I want to mention too, I'm going to be hot on the strategic positions train, I think, and that's probably going to try and be my go-to mission for TableBound Open.
Yeah, it's a fun mission.
I am expecting a whole lot of it at TBO.
Yeah.
As for my games, had a good day. Ended up going 3-0-1 because Titus and I had a draw.
Story time.
Spoiler alert. It was a good day. I continue to be impressed with GI and Moff. I've said this a couple times since the event. This is my second event taking these guys and playing it on some Thursdays as well. I think this list is just on the cusp of there. Do I think it's competing, on an even playing field with the best Cassian lists or the best boss lists? Not on an even playing field, no. But do I think it's right under, like, it would be the definition of a tier 2 list if we were putting things in rankings, and a very high up one at that. I don't think I've found a mission where this list feels bad. There hasn't been a matchup where like, oh, this, I don't have a chance. It's been great. The games felt good there. I played against Cam playing Lando Kanan. Titus will get to our game in a sec. I played them against Rob, who's playing Vader 1 and Iden. And then my other list was Vader 1 and Kiadi Mundi. Same list I've played several times. Took it into Titus for round 2. Titus, I guess we'll talk about this game a little bit.
Yeah.
So you had a rough start to Struggle 1. A couple whiffed activations back to back.
Yeah, with the it was specifically the Padawans. I could have swung a 4-point
and instead you got
score. Instead ended up with 2 because they couldn't get to step 2 on their tree on either attack.
And that will be a theme throughout this game.
Yep.
Even if they have Vader dice.
And like one of those was a Kiadi. That one I was expecting.
That one you were expecting
to fail. The attack going into the 501st, not even getting to step 1 was a surprise.
With Vader dice?
No, he didn't have Vader dice.
I don't have Vader. I have Ahsoka.
We'll get to where this happens to me twice.
Yes.
That is with Vader dice. So I was pretty far ahead in Struggle 1 very quickly. Had an activation with Barris. I
think we got to 6 on your side of the tracker.
We did.
It was ridiculous.
We did. And I had an opportunity, a very greedy opportunity to close Struggle 1. I had a Barris activation and I could either score 4 and have a solid hold on all 4 points. And that involved potentially force pushing Kiadi back into a corner, making him a potentially rough activation if he flipped. The other option I had was to force push OB2, who is holding Titus's back objective. This would have put me down to, I think, 1 or 2 force left for the rest of the struggle, and we are like
This is third activation.
So I have the opportunity here. I can do that. Barris will take the point from the bottom. I won't be holding anything with my on the left side point. And I make the call to make the safe play. Scoring 4 put the struggle cube right up to my momentum. I felt like I was in a good position. Looking at what Titus had, again, still plenty of cards in deck. I think flipping the shatter point was the only thing I was particularly worried.
Yeah, and I was first player, so it was 1 out of 4.
Yeah, because with the positioning, Kiadi activating could have been troublesome depending on how that goes. Nothing else could have swung multiple points. So I take the safe play, and Titus does exactly that, flips the shatter point. Kiadi's able to flip this back to Titus scoring 4, pulling it back a bit, and we end up in a back and forth cycle where I'm able to push it back to scoring 3. Titus scores 4. I score 3. Yep. Titus scores 4. And this happens all the way to the end. We hit mission critical early in struggle 2, and struggle 2 should have been a quick hold for me, but instead I have bad Padawan activation after bad Padawan activation where basically both times all they needed to do was shove OB2 once. And they failed to do so with Vader dice. Both times, if they had have gotten their shoves through, I was going from scoring like 1 point to all the points, and they just didn't. They were not able to follow through. Now, again, this is partly because OB2 is here and is disarming at least one of these attacks each turn. But the other,
you had them split up too. So
and
like
I had them split up.
Yeah, it wasn't like they were both teaming up on him. It was I knew I could dedicate that disarm to
but on
whatever was attacking him.
10 dice coming from these guys, 2 successes on OB2 should even disarmed should not be out of the question. And this was failed.
So I don't know that that's actually true, though, because you're looking at 50-50. Obi has full conversion and 5 dice. You're expecting 5 results. He's expecting
you're getting a little
2
thin
to
there,
3 blocks and 1 or 2 expertise. You're like a 50-50 chance.
Yes. And then, but again, those also just weren't converting on the other side. Even the non-disarmed attack wasn't going through. Like there was a point where I'm taking both of these objectives and the non-disarmed attack isn't going through.
That part's fair. And you did get to, I think, 3 on a Shock T attack later. It just didn't matter. I guess it did matter. It's what gave us our tie.
That is what gave us our tie. That one last attack going through gave us our tie.
Yeah. So we got to struggle 3.
Yeah.
And we only had like 4 activations on it. But it ended up that when time was called, Kyle failed to take 1 point that had been tied up, and he did take 1 of the points. So by tiebreakers, you go by points controlled. Well, we were 1-1, and then 1 was uncontrolled. And then you go by wounds, which we were both 4 wounds. So we ended up having a perfect tie.
Crazy.
Which was, like, I've never seen that. Usually when you get a draw, it's because the game ended in struggle 2.
Chaos.
But it happens. But no, for my part, it felt very much like a chess match. There was a lot of, I have to move this here to counter this other thing.
It was.
I was gonna toss that in there, man, guys. Is that this is also likely a result of you being 2 fantastic players who play each other often, and
typically this happens. It was sabotage. Actually, it's been sabotage both times.
This happens more than I think the listeners realize because we play together, right? This happens more often, and this probably was just one of the typical situations that just went all the way.
And it's every time Titus and I play Republic into each other.
It's especially when you play Vader.
That's the caveat.
Yeah, I like Titus. I actually think we had another game that was really close to this happening a while ago, but I actually think you were playing your Cam Ahsoka list and I played my Vader Cam list.
It might have been Ahsoka Mace.
It was Ahsoka Mace. You're absolutely right. Yeah. Now that
but either way, it's very much usually you take on more of an aggressor role, and I build kind of a fortress on 3 points and just try to outlast you. And this time it ended up forcing us to time.
Yeah, it Super tight game. Again, honestly, I think we both played this very well. There was a couple sneaky point grabs from either side. I think that were just the right positioning to dash something, or the wound going through because the right coordinated fire was in the right spot, kind of thing. So super tight game. I think we both agreed at the end that, hey, for how this game went, this was an appropriate ending.
Yeah, it felt better than having one of us win on wounds or on, oh, well, you had the last turn, so you have more points.
Yes.
It felt better to have it end this way. I would have rathered someone be a victor via actually
finishing
winning the game.
Yes.
But this, having an actual tie felt better than a tiebreaker because it reflects how the game was played.
Amazing. I love it. When I went over to you guys, and you're like, finishing the game, I'm like, hey, what's going on? Tied. Where are your wounds at? And then Titus went 4-4.
It was a real long struggle.
Shit.
Yeah, it was a very long struggle one.
Yeah.
But no, it was a lot of fun. And like I said, it was a lot of long turns where we're staring at the board going, okay, this is what's left in my opponent's deck. Okay, so if this activates, I need to have, say, OB2 on this point so that activation's bad. And then Ahsoka's going to go hold this other point with Shock T to make Shock T's defense better. And that way he will have to spend force to get them off. And it was a lot.
Sounds like fantastically played Shatterpoint to me, guys.
It was a good one. Overall, great event. Was just happy to see everyone again, play some games.
Yeah. Notably, we are on back-to-back double-digit attendance of our events as well, too. January and February. We had last month 11, this month 12. Definitely want to try and keep the hype going and keep double digits as the norm, and then blow it out for the TableBound Open.
Yeah, it's been feeling really good. We had a bit of a slowdown for a while. And
we've had a strong start to the year, and I'm very, very happy. We were able to get a couple of the new promo card kits in. We're going to talk about those a little bit later, but they have been nice to have. I've always, the one running these things, always try to keep on top of it, make sure our community has the newest cards. I think people appreciate it and like it. I need to grab that PLC kit. I guess that came out a couple days ago. I'm going to try and grab that for the next one. And
yeah. The only other thing I would note is that I was forced to play First Contact twice, and people we know are mean, and I don't like them.
Yeah, there's those Waterloo guys like First Contact. And with the other thing, they love Lando over there. And
there's a whole lot of Lando and a whole lot of First Contact. And
Cam Pasman has my number. He's 4-0 against me now, and it's driving me nuts because he keeps playing Lando into me, and then I just absolutely scrub out the game, and I feel like, how am I losing to Lando? How is this happening?
He beat me last event with Lando too, and I was just like, how?
He's figured it out.
Yeah.
But he's doing very well.
Also, shout out to, notably, Cam Passman, #1 Lando in the game right now. Congratulations if you...
He's been trying that for a while.
We'll know if Cam listens to this episode or not. Shout out to you, buddy. Good job.
Yeah. But yeah, the other thing I want to say about this event, I'm so tired of Baze and Trude. I ran into them 3 times during the event, and if I never have to see them again, I would be happy. And like, they're some of my favorite characters in Star Wars. I'm so tired of that unit.
I think we are at kind of Red Alert level with Cassian and Baze and Trude for sure.
Yeah. Like, if something has to be nerfed, though, I want it to be Baze and Trude, because Cassian at least enables a lot of cool, like, combo-y fun stuff. Baze and Trude is just, they're just pure power. It's rough.
Yeah, they are a little over the top, for sure.
Anyhow, I don't want to drag into that rant. It is what it is.
That's a bonus episode rant. So just moving on here, I got to play my first key operations game.
You did
on Thursday through our narrative league round 2. Titus.
Yeah. So we got to our second round of the narrative league. I'm trying to think. Kyle, you had your game the week before, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And then Sean and I played, and Josh and Brandon, was it? No, Josh and Brandon on the same team. Sorry, Josh and Ryan played this week as well. We've been having fun with it, but I think the overall feeling is none of us are very enthused with key operations. I know I'm 4 games in now. I've also been helping out, trying to like coach people through some of the other games when I'm around. And I've been keeping an open mind about it. And I feel like I have enough experience now to say I don't like it as a format. There are good points about it. It can be thematic at its high points. It can have some really cool interactions, but it doesn't live up to those high points very often. And it is a whole lot of added complexity to a game that is already fairly strategic, but now you're pulling in 4 different documents because you got the rules document, you've got any errata you need to keep track of, you have your cards, but then you have the key operations rule book that is applicable to all the key operations missions, and then the key operations missions themselves are pretty much a rule book because they're from 7 to 10 pages long, and it's a lot to keep track of. All the games just slow to a crawl, and I don't see that people would be incentivized to play enough to be familiar enough that doesn't happen, because it feels like too much of a slog to enjoy yourself at that point.
Yeah, a couple things as the first time player this past week. I will definitely echo Titus. First read, and when we got there and you like slapped down the booklet of like all the extra stuff, I was like, okay, this is a lot. The other thing too is that I believe, I forget if it was last episode or 2 episodes ago, I'm sorry, there's so many here, where you were going over the math and all the stuff
The
that you
time
figured
restraints
out,
and-
the time restraints and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to be completely honest with you, man. I was playing this game with you, trying to process everything and understand everything, and you were like, well, this game's pretty much done. And I was like, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was kind of joking to the guys after you left, saying like, yeah, Sean stomped me, and I don't think he even knows how he won.
I don't think I understood why or how I stomped you, right? And again, I think it would take for me to, after that game, to spend a significant amount of time, read the rules, read the scenarios, all this kind of stuff, for it to click and be like, oh, okay, this happened and that happened, which was, the path that the game took for me to win. I literally left there like, okay, that was cool, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. So for reference, we played the crash landing key operation, which in my mind is one of the simpler ones. It is one of the most thematic ones. I actually really did enjoy what it did well.
Yeah, and so did I. It was cool. Yeah. Like you gotta go to you gotta go to the center, and I have to like attack the medical stuff, and like the idea of it is
yes. It felt like it had more complexity than it needed, and it could have benefited from a much longer game. So like we finished in 7 activations each. We never shuffled our decks, and the time was up. Yeah. Which for Shatterpoint, that's very quick. Like you're struggling to get some of your units out of deployment by the time the game's over. But like for the crash landing mission, the aggressor, the theme is the aggressor's ship has crashed, and they're sending one squad to kind of rescue the other. The squad that was in the ship crashed and is scattered around the center of the table and has to get medical help. In my mind, something can accomplish that theme with just a deployment and maybe have the medical supply mechanic and then just run it like a regular Shatterpoint game aside from that. But instead you have another like 5 pages of added complexity, added mechanics that just really bog everything down. Whereas it could just be, here's the narrative. So it literally, that theme could be accomplished by just doing an alternate deployment and maybe 1 or 2 little side mechanics similar to like picking up the medical supplies to recover their hurt condition. That's all you really need to get that same story.
Yeah. And when you say different deployments, I think something that might be interesting is maybe there's a key operations where you actually deploy on the corners of the map.
Yeah. Stuff like that.
It's spaced out differently, and objectives are placed differently there. Or maybe you do the crazy thing and you deploy on the other sides. You know what I mean? Like, I think
Like there's Legion
the initial
deployments
ideas are
were
good,
like
are
that.
there, but you said like again, like you slapped down that it was like yay thick. It was like poof, and I'm like, then you're like you flipped over this chart and you had like damage, and like, hey, this is going to trickle down to do this and and I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
and for reference, Sean, that is just the mission specific stuff. I was verbatim,
right,
really shorthanding the key operations like overall rules, because I've played it enough that I can go, okay, I know exactly how this works. But when you look at it, it's like tracking your
all
momentum is like 2 pages.
Honestly, in that game is that I knew that I could gain a momentum on my turn, kill your units to gain momentum on my side, and then once I got there, I started pulling yours. And that's honestly all I did the entire game.
And especially on crash landing for the Sentinel, that's literally all it is for you. You don't have much of a mission. You're just, oh, hey, these guys crashed in our lap. We need to take them out. Like,
okay, there you go. So I did do it. Perfect, great.
It is a good mission, and it is a good core concept. It needs refinement. And at its current state, I don't feel like I can recommend most of these to most players. And that's really disappointing, because I really wanted to like these. And we know AMG can do good work. We know they can make really good games, because core Shatterpoint is good enough that we have done 34 episodes of this podcast on. We've been playing for 3 years.
And
Like,
honestly, it's still the best core rule set for a game I have ever played.
Yeah, so it's one of the high points of Shatterpoint overall. I agree.
And like, so there's that. And then they have legendary encounters, which shows they can do a really good casual mode. They can do a really good alternate game type. And we've had nothing but good experiences with it.
Yeah, so a few follow-ups on my side. And I think I'm going to play, I think, a little devil's advocate, because John, I think from first impression, you were on the same boat. Titus, we've talked about kind of where we've landed on this a few times. One point I wanted to follow up from the conversation we had a few weeks ago, just about the struggle timer. You know, you did the math on how many average activations this would be. And one of my big takeaways from that was, I think that timer just heavily favors the Sentinel overall. And I have since, I think, come around that varies key operation to key operation mission. I don't think generally the Sentinel is overall more favored in the way I think I thought. That's been a nice revelation. I will take that as a win.
I will agree. It does vary by mission. I know Josh and Ryan played the jailbreak mission, and that one I think actually favors the aggressor quite heavily, because of how the thematic aspect of it works.
Where the answer is just
through
go
the rules.
loud.
Yeah, we're not going to go through too in depth, but basically the aggressor is trying to break one of his squads out of jail. Well, you can make a choice where you try to make as little noise as possible, be stealthy and whatnot, or you can go in, try to bust one unit out, and then make a lot of noise doing it, which makes it easier to do. But you don't lose the game if you get caught, as long as you get one guy out, and you can finish the first stage in just one turn. Well, when you suddenly have 6 turns or 7 turns to do stage 2, it's much more manageable, even with the penalty for getting caught. So it's that one I think really favors the aggressor, which is contrary to what our initial impression was.
Yeah.
And you did the chain reaction one. I think that's another one that is much more evenly balanced in terms of who it favors. So I will agree, it's not completely one-sided.
Yeah, so into some deeper thoughts, and I think there's one actually really big caveat I think I want to throw out there. We kicked off this episode with an announcement talking about just how busy life has been, add some things on top of it. We've all had some stuff going on. That includes, for the rest of the local group, like Josh recently had a baby, which is very exciting, but obviously means gaming isn't the first priority on the list, along with everything we've all had going on. Where I think our regular Thursday nights for us is this. It is a comfort zone at this point. We've been doing this for 3 years together. I look forward to my Thursday nights every single week. And there's a comfort level of being able to walk in. I know how to play this game. I know exactly what I'm doing. I get to sit down and play some Shatterpoint. And this was definitely jarring compared to that, especially with the experience we all have with the game up to this point. And this isn't, I think we were all down to try something new. We all went in very excited about this.
Yeah.
But given that you get off work, you go to play a game, it's intimidating. And I think there's a chance here that none of us were in the right place or frame of mind to be tackling this right now. I know we've been all in a boat of we're printing something right before we go. We're reading rules. We're reading the mission when we get there. And maybe that wasn't the best approach going in.
I'm going to devil's advocate off this a little bit in that I think we also need to give ourselves a little bit of credit as well, too, for going down a rabbit hole from what I can see being as connected within the community as we are, trying a format that AMG has made that a lot of people I don't think are either talking about nor even trying in the first place.
Yeah, there was a lot of reasons we wanted to try this, and yes. I think that makes sense. Again, there was a lot of hype around it. It was a big part of
I'm glad we did it. And also 100%. I want to give big credit and a big thank you to Titus for running the league and suggesting it and getting us rolling on it. The conclusion, as we talked about here, is that we don't feel it's great, but I'm glad we've at least done it. And
to be clear, we're not done.
Yeah, we're not done.
Yes.
It's just initial thoughts. And again, maybe Atomic Mass Games hears this and they want to talk to us, or they say, "Oh, that's great feedback, and we can work on this." Right? I would rather put it out there as people that said, "Hey, we actually played 3, 4, 5 rounds of this. This is how we feel about it," rather than some of the feedback out there that has been honestly just straight up, "This is not worth my time."
Yeah, again, super glad we've tried it. And I would recommend people try it because I know there's an audience for this kind of gameplay. And honestly, I am that audience for a lot of game systems. And this isn't the first narrative campaign I've done in a miniatures game or this kind of game mode. I've played Necromunda in the past. I've done some campaign escalation things for like Kill Team and Warcry. And I've done at least one decently long, like 40K Crusade campaign, which are all that kind of narrative game mode. And narrative game modes need to have such a fine niche balance to hit, right? Because at their core, they are for more casual players, but casual players that are really into the game and system. That, maybe aren't driven towards competitive play, but it needs to hit a sweet point of hitting the narrative and hitting a level of simplicity. And there's a thing about narrative campaigns in full army games that hits a sweet spot that I think is a struggle in skirmish games. And there's twofold points to that. One, skirmish games heavily lean towards big named characters. You have fewer models on the table, and that's typically what you're leaning at. And that is a little harder to tell a more personal story with. Like when you're looking at a full army game and you can name your lieutenant or your sergeant or your lord or whatever theme you're going for, and that's your person, you get to name them. They level up as you go through this campaign, and they really become yours. And where I think there's some exciting opportunity for that in Star Wars or within Shatterpoint, like you're going to live that in a full army size game a lot better. Doubling down on that, the best times I've had with a narrative league are in an escalation league. Where, again, when you're playing a full army game, we're starting off, okay, we're kicking off this league at 500 points. Then we're going to go to 600, to 750, to 8 as this narrative builds and our army grows. And it's this incentive for the whole group to get their hobbying done and get through building up their army to a full army size. And the times I found that to be most effective are when this is a group of experienced players of this game that are comfortable with adding in this layer, that are starting a new army or a new faction, but have the existing established one outside of that already. And those are the times where I've seen, but like those are a lot of caveats and check marks to hit a thing that I think brings this all together. And the three of us have relatively complete Shatterpoint collections. So it's not like this was an opportunity to, hey, let's build and paint some models that we don't have already. Let's buy a couple boxes that we're going to play specifically for this campaign to get built and painted up as we go. And I think that hobby incentive and that try a new thing incentive is in part of getting something like this.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I agree with all that. Yep, that was
I will
fantastic
say,
thoughts, and I loved. Yeah,
it very much shows that you are the only person in the group that picked a nameless trooper as their veteran unit.
Yes, I did. Because this is my Death Trooper escort that I want to level up. And that is actually the final point I wanted to make, and it's a great transition. The campaign rules are incredible.
Yes, they're really good.
The advantage packs are 10 out of 10. The abilities they add are impactful, but don't make anything, I would say, broken. They're not over the top, but they're relevant. I think they hit all the notes I want to see on a campaign style like this. They make that unit you're focusing on really great. I think we've all chatted a bit about if we were doing a league like this in the future and wanting to do the campaign rules, we would do them, just maybe tweak a couple of them that talk specifically about things that are specific to key operations, but overall be able to apply these to just regular Shatterpoint, regular missions, and have a story-based narrative league using regular Shatterpoint rules with the advantage packs attached to them.
Yeah, like I have nothing but good thoughts about the advantage packs, the campaign stuff. And in fact, as I said the last time we kind of went in depth on key operations, I feel like the advantage packs are almost geared to fix some of the problems with key operations. And like it feels like it should be an integral part of playing key operations because it's such a good thematic fun part of it. It's the thing that we're excited about coming to the game and be like, okay, what am I going to roll? What ability is my veteran unit going to get? Like everybody was kind of excited to pick their stuff.
Yeah, that was the most exciting part for me, for sure. And I will say, overall, the whole thing, and Titus, again, you did a great job at layering on top of this. Their narrative part has felt great. The missions do feel like a cool story. You added your own fluff and story that we shared kind of last episode. There's a lot going here. And for three people that really like Shatterpoint and just playing as much Shatterpoint as we can, there's, I don't know, something quite not there for a fun factor for me. And we've talked about a lot of reasons that could be here. We're also going to keep trying this. We're at least going to finish out a league. We set out to do something, so we're gonna hear that out.
Yep.
Titus, you incorporated legendary encounters into the league.
Next week, I want my legendary encounters game, boys.
Yeah,
Let's
so
go.
round 3. This was always the plan, was because we have 6 people, we can neatly break into 2 legendary encounters games.
Sweet.
So it's going to be 2 rebels against the Joint Republic Imperial legends.
Good guys, bad guys.
And then we have
guys.
2 Republic or Imperial squads against the Separatist legends. So
Love it.
Really looking forward to that. Everyone who's tried it in our group so far has loved legendary encounters. Sean, I know you haven't had a chance yet.
Yep.
But
the hype is real, though. You guys have been all about it. I'm just like, let's go, boys.
Honestly, and what's funny is it was the one I was more hesitant on comparatively.
At first, it turned out to be the good one. Yeah.
It's the bigger departure from regular Shatterpoint, but it feels like they hit the notes really, really well.
Yeah. I am excited to play more legendary encounters, and it's going to be a regular thing at our game nights, on our tables, and we'll keep talking about that too.
I'm honestly looking forward to getting more legends, because once they get Luke and Vader in there, then we have something for the kind of classic trilogy fans. Get a couple more from that era.
Yep.
Maybe get Mando. Fingers crossed. I would have a lot of fun with a Kylo legend.
Yeah.
That's spice.
Yeah, I actually, if they want to jump into the next era, I think like Mando and Moff would be great choices.
Mm-hmm. Well, Moff would be a good one. He's got a lot of good quotes.
So I think there's a ton of opportunity here. I'm super excited. We're gonna keep playing through this league. I'm excited to see kind of the back half of the advantage packs and see how those abilities play out on the table. So there's definitely things I'm still excited about here, and we're gonna keep playing through and keep chatting about it here. But with that, I'll do a quick second plug for the TableBound Open.
You got a big. Yeah, let's talk about it. You got a big thing coming up.
Yeah,
let's talk about
this is May 2nd and 3rd. Tickets are available now. I'll throw that link in the show notes as well. This is May 2nd, 3rd at Critical Hit Gaming Lounge in Curtis, Ontario. So this is going to be a premier format. So day 1 is going to be a 4-round Swiss, with day 2 being a top cut. Lots of feedback heard loud and clear that everybody wants to get more games and have a full weekend, whether they make top cut or not. So we are going to be running a secondary 3-round event on the Sunday that's going alongside the top cut. All those details are in the player pack.
I got a question actually about
Yes.
that. If someone is unable to make day 1, would they be able to sign up for the side event?
Yes.
I know it's okay.
Yes.
Because I know usually it's like, oh, someone can make day 1 and then they just drop for day 2. But
If that is the case, I'd have someone just reach out to me and we'll figure out how that works.
And to be clear, in the same question I asked on Sunday, this is one price, 2 events. Playing main events
this is
and side event on Sunday as well for the
Tickets
$40
are
entry.
$40 Canadian, so literally no money for the American friends that want to come up.
Yeah,
Um,
like a tenner. There you go, $10. Ding, done.
But $40 Canadian for entry, and that's for the full 2 days for both events. So if someone wants to just attend day 2, let's have a conversation and figure out what that actually looks like. But the goal is for 2 full days of Shatterpoint for everyone attending. I'm really excited about this one. I have a ton of prizing built up already. I've got top 4 prizing laid out, on top of, again, over $1,000 in raffle prizing alone. That is excluding the top cut prizing. So there is a ton to be given out. I'm fairly certain last year I can say confidently everybody walked away with something, whether
Sure they
there was a freebie for everybody. This year that freebie for everybody, everyone attending will get a set of the heat map cards. So really excited to hand those out and make sure that everybody's got a set of those. And that's going to be including the new mission for those.
are those going to be legal during the event, or are you passing them out after?
They will be legal during the event.
This is the not GT. We are running this big this year. It is Kyle's event, but I always get involved and help him out. I think this is, we always said we've dubbed this the Ontario Shatterpoint celebration event.
Yep.
This is like the once a year big bash. Everybody gets together, come across all over Ontario. Like we said, this one, I won the first one, and I'm coming for my crown again in year 3.
For anyone that hasn't attended one, I split the prize table into 2 buckets. So there is a small raffle prize and a large raffle prize table. The small raffles are done throughout the event. So I'll just pull names. I'll approach someone at a table. Just, hey, take it when you have a second. Go grab a small prize from the small prize pool. And then all the large prizes are done at the end of day 1. Which I'm going to continue doing again here.
Fantastic idea. So good that I stole it for Forced Conversions last year, and I am going to steal it again this year. Again, it for any TO out there running an event who wants to prize their event, it works really, really well. It just saves so much more time at the end. Everybody can pack up. Okay, take your large prizes, boom, and then you're out the door at the end of the day.
Yep.
It's when you first did it, I was like, this is really smart, and we're going to do it at Battle for
Like
Breath
I've heard people make the argument, oh, well, you want to do it at day 2 because it incentivizes people to come back for day 2. Like someone, if they can't make it, they're not going to stick around for like a $60 box. If they got to go, they got to go. Whereas this way, everybody gets their stuff.
Yeah, day 2s can be so dicey for a number of reasons for a number of people that I think it is. I think it's best to do it on the first day.
A couple questions that have come up. So this isn't a player pack, but deadline for product releases will be May 1st. So it has to be, as long as it's out before May 1st, it is legal, whether that is an errata update or a product.
Balin Morgan, please. Balin Morgan, please.
So we will.
I just want the new mission.
We'll definitely have the new mission.
I want all 3, man. I'm greedy.
Hopefully having some boxes. And honestly, I'm going to double down and hope for some errata and updates by the time we get there too.
Yeah, I'd be very happy about that.
But we will see where we're at by the time we get there. But we're putting it up to the wire to make sure we've got anything new possibly in there and available for the event.
And the most important thing is tickets are on sale now. So
tickets are on sale now.
Fill us up. get your car started, buy your airplane tickets. We'll help you with accommodations. Like we said, we know the area. We're from here. Let us know, hey, where do I stay? Where's good to eat? We'll guide you through the whole thing. There are certain parts of Oshawa that we would suggest that you avoid. We can tell you that too. We'll guide you through the whole process, how to do the TableBound Open the best way possible.
Awesome. We already plugged the Discord earlier, so we don't have to do that.
Yeah, we'll let TableBound Open be the spotlight here today.
The spotlight. All right. Well, thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Have a great night.
Okay. See you, everyone.
Have a good night.